pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bush. Here. Campbell. Here. Clay.
Here.
Gessé. Here. Latender. Here. Levesque.
Here.
Matola.
Here.
Nieves Matias. O'Connell.
Here.
Rogers. Absent. Tedford. Wendis.
Here.
Your Honor, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. So we do have a public hearing tonight, so we're going to start with citizens forum, but we will have to stop at 7:35. Is there anybody here for public hearing? Citizens forum, I'm sorry. Name and address.
How y'all doing tonight? My name's Gennaro. I moved to the back of the house on West Main Street on 133. So hopefully y'all don't miss me. But if you... Now, all right. Tonight, I've been staying up lately because I've been going to work early and I've been doing a lot of reading, Mayor. And I don't want to talk about it, but I have to talk about it, okay? It ain't being mean, it ain't being rude, it's just being real, okay? I know that pretty soon people have to get and leave, and some other people are going to start switching and taking positions. I'm pretty sure that people have to vote soon. That time is coming up, and we have to make sure that we pick a right official that will run the town right, because I know you're going to leave, you know? So, I mean, I'm not too happy with Lamont at all. I've been reading this $1 billion thing that he's been, you know, with the FBI. The FBI has him under investigation. Not only that, he's part of the... To me, Lamont is guilty, Mayor. To me, straight up. If he was in jail, we probably would have put him on the wall and gave him 45 seconds and stripped him from his position. Because there's $1 billion gone out of funds. Now he's pointing fingers at everybody else. Why would you do that? You're the Capitan. You're the leader. You should know where that money went. Always should know where that money goes. You know? Now, we have to make sure that when we pick a mayor, we pick the right mayor, and we got to read about people's backgrounds and stuff. Okay? So I'm just trying to tell the town about this. All right, so if we want good leadership, we have to read, don't matter if they're Republicans or Democrat, unfortunately. But there's a lot of stuff that I got to get done out here, and I need a lot of help from people that want to move on, you know. And there's a lot of us. I did want to bring my guys with me, but it was just too many of them. Mayor, I know that you were asking for help about funds that you had, that received. Okay, for the town. I got maybe about 40 guys that box every day in the backyard in my house with gloves. Okay, they could put a boxing ring up here. You can make it a nonprofit organization. You can make a rap studio. A lot of these kids make raps. They like rapping and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure the activity center or something can get something like that going here. Bring some of the troubled teens that are over here that need help. Because I'm sending my daughter back. I don't think she's fit for educational over here. She needs something smaller. So for the people like her, we need some more programming, more recreational. Because what you have here in town, you don't have a lot at all for these kids. Okay, I was just with at least 15 of them, you know, and they really want boxing. They want to do their rapping. They tell me, oh, what, you're going to go to the town and waste your time. June, don't even waste your time, big homie. They don't care about us. If they did, they'll come and knock at the door. These are 13, 15-year-olds telling me this. You know, I don't have a lot to give them. I got a punching bag. I do what I do, you know. You know, we're not perfect, but we need some help, man. If we can get that going, that'll be nice. It really, really would. I know other people got to step up, but the games too, man, you know, it's just we need some real leadership, and I'm looking for it. I just don't want to be rude and blast anybody, you know. I want to be a gentleman, if you catch what I mean. I appreciate y'all for listening, but there's a lot of troubled teens in your town too. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Gennaro. Yep. At this point, we're going to have to wait for the rest of it. We have to go into the public hearing to start with, and then we'll return back to the citizens forum. So at this point, we're going to move into the public hearing. I'm going to call the public hearing to order. If the town clerk can read the legal notice.
This was posted on the outside bulletin board and on the town website on April 20, 2022. It was advertised in the Journal Enquirer on April 21st, 2022 and April 28th, 2022. Public notice, legal notice 2022 Neighborhood Assistance Act, Town of Vernon. Legal notice 2022 Neighborhood Assistance Act. The Town of Vernon announces that applications for the 2022 NAA program are due by 1 p.m. May 20, 2022. Submissions can either be mailed to Matt Hellman, Director of Social Services, Town of Vernon, 14 Park Place, Vernon, Connecticut, or emailed to mhellman@vernon-ct.gov. A public hearing to hear comment, answer questions, and take the necessary action relative to the Neighborhood Assistance Act Tax Credit Program submissions is scheduled for June 7, 2022 at 7:35 p.m. in the Town Council Chambers, 14 Park Place, Vernon, Connecticut. Those wishing to participate in the public hearing should attend in person. For additional information, contact Matt Hellman, 860-870-3567.
Thank you. Is there anybody that would like to speak about the Neighborhood Assistance Act submissions for 2022? This is the opportunity for that. On this? Yes. Yeah. Is Matt here? Matt is not here. Matt's not here. Yep, you can ask a question. Just step up to the mic here.
How you doing? My name's Steve Shorman. I'm a resident here for about 7 years now. Went to high school here.
Can you just give your address?
Yep. My name is Stephen Shortman. I've been a resident here for 7 years. I went to high school here. And I'm here to be a part of this community and hopefully make this town better. And I can see that, from what I've seen at the high school recently, it looks like it is getting done. So let's continue that movement going. On regards to this right here, this program, this Neighborhood Assistance Act, it's saying this is in regards to businesses receiving credit. Is that correct? For something they by us completing this program, they receive some type of credit? I was just wondering what businesses would receive credit.
He's going to explain it to you.
Through the mayor, excellent question.
Thank you.
And there's the legal requirements to put the notices in there, and we try to do it as by the book in order to meet the letter of the law. But there's a lot more to that. So I'm glad you're here asking that question, and I frankly encourage more residents to get involved to the point you are in asking those types of questions on other things as well. So there's two businesses that have stepped forward and have contacted our social services department looking to participate. And the first one is the Village for Families and Children. That's in the amount of $4,000, and they're looking to replace, actually, I just want to make sure I got this straight here. Neighborhood Assistance Tax Credit. And Jeff, if you have additional information on that, feel free to step up as well. But we're looking for $4,000 to replace toilets in the Quality Parenting Center. And then another is for Opportunity Works in the amount of $63,000 to replace HVAC units.
Now, only certain businesses are allowed to apply for this credit?
Again, we could circle back with you if you have a business in mind as far as the application process. Unfortunately, our social services director was called away tonight and was not able to be here with us. But if you have a specific business or you want more information about that, we're glad to take your information and get back to you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Thanks for being here.
Is there anybody else? This is on the neighborhood resource? Okay, go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Sarah Adanti from the Village for Families and Children. Thank you for having me out here tonight. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about our Quality Parenting Center. The Village has been around for over 200 years, and we're thrilled to be able to break into the Vernon community. This past October, we took one of the Cheney mansions that we had for quite some time, the Allison Gill Lodge. which was a residential treatment program for young women, and converted it with the help of DCF into a quality parenting center that allows us the reunification process for children who are currently in foster care to be reunited with their families, with the hope of them transitioning back to their own families. Right now, we have 61 children from Vernon that we are seeing in our quality parenting center. Our toilets are very old. They're not energy efficient. We have 5. We were able to do 1, and we need support to be able to adjust the other 4. Because with the 61 children from Vernon and the many other families that we have weekly, over 100 visits, that's a lot of flushing going on. So once again, thank you, and thank you for your consideration of this request.
Thank you. Anybody else? Julie?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. These are just pass-through applications, right?
Yeah.
Nothing, the town is not funding anything or matching anything.
Right. These are the pass-throughs that we get every year.
Yes.
And these are the 2 organizations that have filled out the applications for it.
Okay, for anyone that's applying and going through the process.
Right.
We're just approving their application.
Right.
Not the application, but the process.
The process. So it has to go through us, then off to the state.
Okay.
So
all right.
we're mainly just a conduit.
You're right. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I understood it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Okay. All right. With that, I am going to adjourn the public hearing, and we're going to go back to the regular meeting. Is there anybody else for Citizens Forum? Come on up. You just got to give your name and address again.
Name is Stephen Shortman. I live at 29 Jan Drive in Vernon, Connecticut. I'm here today specifically in regards to my children and the school systems. And from what I've seen in the media and what's been going on nationwide altogether, I'm a little nervous. And I'm guessing a lot of other people are as well. I wish there were more of us here to represent how nervous this situation really is for a young parent with kids in the school system. I'm not here to point fingers, or I'm here to merely ask questions on what has been put in play to keep our children safe. If the idea of arming someone in front of our schools is an option, I hate to say that, it's a terrible thing to talk about. But that's the reality that is going on in this world today, is that a lot of people have guns, and if you don't have anything to protect yourself, then, that what we saw in Olverdale and here in Newtown, is a definite possibility right here in Vernon, and that would be a terrible, terrible tragedy to have to witness. I work in corrections. I've been there for 8 years now, and I see terrible things happening. And the fact that, we live in this beautiful world that we live in, and it can change real quick, and a lot of people don't play with the same ideals that we do. So I'm here to ask and to wonder what we're going to do to ensure that what happened at Olverdale, did not happen here, at least something in place, to make that happen. I did a drive-by of my daughter's school. She goes to Lake Street. And I did see someone wearing a vest. It was about 11 o'clock. Recess was out. There were teachers outside. I'm sure none of them were armed, but there had been about 12 children outside. It's pretty close to the road, as all of you know where Lake Street is. I did see someone wearing a vest walking around checking doors. Very important to know, right? I just wonder if this person is trained in tactical operations. Is this person trained to give fire or suppress fire, or where the weak points in a door are? She looked like a nice young lady for sure, but I know in prison that a show of force is sometimes a good deterrent for someone to come in and do something as horrible as what we saw happen not too long ago. I don't really have anything more to say on that note. I just want to put that out there for our council and for whoever here is willing to listen. That is on my most important agenda here in this town, and I would hope to see that some of my tax money went to trying to do something about that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And anything? No, you can. Normally, Citizens Forum is just for you to come up and make a statement, but I'm going to respond that, we deal with the town side, and the Board of Ed deals with the board side. And we would never in public discuss what our security measures are. And they wouldn't either. But I'm sorry, if you had questions, you could probably talk one-on-one with the superintendent. You can't talk from your seat. You can come up to the mic quick.
One question about how this whole operation works. So in regards to my child's curriculum, in regard to my child's safety, the town council has no authority over the school systems?
Right, the Board of Ed deals with that. We deal with how much money goes over to the board, and then the Board of Education, which is a separately elected body, deals with the curriculums, and they deal with what's going on in school. Mike Piccaro, who is our, he also deals with it, and he's with our emergency management. He's our emergency management director as well. So he also has a say in the security as well. And, we are constantly reevaluating and constantly training our police departments.
For sure.
I'll leave it at that.
Yes.
That part. Okay?
Yep, I'm aware of your backgrounds. But just in regards, so if I had more questions about this, I would talk to you directly? And the superintendent, do they have meetings like this as well for the public to hear?
They do, but if you want more information, it would not be done in public because we would never give up our security procedures.
Absolutely, not looking for any of that, just
Right.
just hoping that there are security measures in place.
There are.
That's what I like to hear.
Okay. All right, is there anybody else here for Citizens Forum? All right, seeing none, we're going to move the executive to the end, and we are going to move on to presentations. I'm going to start with mine, and then we'll go on. All right, so we had a couple grand openings. We had the grand opening of the Academy of the Arts and Learning, and we had a great showing from the council. That is now a long-term tenant at Center 375. The Academy's official grand opening was June 4th. We had the grand opening of the Vernon Coffee Roasters yesterday, which is now open on Hartford Turnpike, celebrating their grand opening. And then MJ Hair Salon is now open for business in shops at 30 near Ryan's Deli. You can stop by any of these businesses. You're welcome, and we want to welcome them. The Vernon Public Schools, the Agricultural Science and Technology students, which is ASTE, are taking farm to table by growing cucumbers and lettuce for their classmates to enjoy in the school cafeteria. Project Homegrown is a partnership between Vernon Public School Food and Nutrition Program and the ASTE program, funded by a grant from the North Central District Health Department. This program allows the students to see where the food they grow goes and the impact on the local community. Daniels Mill received an EPA grant for $650,000. The grant will allow the town to continue to cleanup efforts at the former mill site. The grant was completed by the staff with the assistance of the University of Connecticut. Thank you to Professor Bompati and UConn for the critical assistance they provided on this grant application. The foundation testing program has been extended through February 28th, 2023. That's a free program that tests foundations for the presence of the mineral pyrrhotite and has been extended through February 2023 and continues to be available to qualifying residents in the towns of Vernon, Ellington, and Stafford. For more information, check out the Town of Vernon website or call the Vernon Social Services Department. The annual awards night for the Vernon Police Department on May 25th, 2022. The police department honored officers and residents for heroism and life-saving actions. More than 100 awards and commendations were handed out. In addition, officers selected their colleagues for Officer of the Year. Detective Thomas Van Tassel, Detective Cody Flanagan, and Officer Andre Lise were named the Officers of the Year for the years 2019, 2020, and 2021, respectively. Officer Matthew Gelmede was selected as Rookie of the Year. Congratulations and thank you to all of the honorees. Just so you know, this is the first time they were able to get together because of COVID, so we were looking at all 3 years. July in the Sky. Vernon's premier summer event is just around the corner. Plans are in the making for this year's event that is scheduled for July 12th, 2022, with a rain date of July 13th, 2022. The upcoming Vernon Voice magazine features the event with all the details. The event is sponsored by the Vernon Parks and Recreation Department in partnership with the Rockville Downtown Association. There still is time to sign up for a booth or volunteer for the evening. The event begins at 6 p.m. and ends with the annual fireworks display. Don't miss it. It's always a great display. Sustainable Connecticut. The town of Vernon has been notified that we will receive the silver level again. Vernon attained high standards in a broad range of sustainability accomplishments to qualify for the prestigious silver level award, which is the highest award so far. They're talking about coming out with a gold, but they haven't gotten there yet. Silver is, thank you to all those who worked on this project, and congratulations to everyone. All right, the change in the mill rate on the agenda this evening is the motion to adjust the mill rate for motor vehicles. That is because of state law. Please make sure you sign the tax documents before you leave this evening. I'm just missing one. Terry, make sure you sign that document before you leave. The Memorial Day celebration. Thank you to the American Legion for co-sponsoring the parade with the town of Vernon. I'd like to also thank the many businesses, organizations, and our town of Vernon departments for working together to make this event successful. Rockville High graduation invites are on the table. Please be sure to RSVP as soon as you are able. The event is scheduled for June 16th, 2022, beginning at 6 p.m. next week. It's coming quick. And that is it for me. Rob?
Hello. Hi, good evening. Members of the Town Council, Mayor, Mr. Picaro. I just wanted to update you on the treatment plant upgrade. Since my last update, I'm just going to bore you with some details, just bear with me. Aeration tank number 6 was put online with new selector walls and diffusers for the IFAS. Modification is the same as aeration tank number 5. So again, both have been modified that way. With those 2 tanks in service, the major modifications to both aeration tanks number 3 and number 4 can commence. What they call phase 2. This is to modify the flow that travels in the secondary tanks. Traditionally, the flow travels in a parallel fashion from south to north through 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, and 6. When the project is over, that flow will flow from 1 and 2 in northerly direction, then over to 3 and 4 in a southerly direction, and then over to 5 and 6. So it's a
Can you just tell us what each tank does? What does it actually do?
well, this is secondary treatment.
What does that do?
So basically, that's where we modify the environment for the organisms in order to do what we want them to do. So right now,
Break down what's put in it. Okay.
break down what comes in from the primary, which they basically use as food. Mm-hmm. And so right now, those organisms just nitrify. And then when this project is over, they're going to denitrify and also help us treat for phosphorus. So that's the whole process that we're trying to get to. So getting back to 3 and 4, with those tanks offline, they were drained and cleaned. The demo of the existing equipment was done. The abatement of select concrete was done, that PCB contamination from paint, where it had to be cut and modified. Those modifications were made, and then modifications were made to the effluent channel of 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is basically that channel on the north side. And then that's continuing now and should be completed next month. In conjunction with this aeration tank work, a major bypass is happening where all plant flow coming out of aeration tank 5 and 6 is being diverted around the discharge piping for those tanks so that it can be removed and replaced. Because all the flow is going to go through 5 and 6, the existing pipe that was put in the 90s is too small, and so it has to be upgraded. So that's what they're doing now. And then that work will be completed next week and that flow reestablished. The major push now is to get all the systems online and operational to start the carbon reduction period. As you know, the Zimpro carbon system will be taken offline as part of this upgrade, and we're getting close to doing that. The systems needing to be in place to start this are the secondary sludge storage, secondary sludge pumps and piping, rotary drum thickeners, odor control systems for both storage and those thickeners, the polymer system that supports that thickening system, and any ancillary equipment and all the controls that are associated with that. This work is also progressing, and we expect to start this reduction period soon. A couple of highlights. The return activated sludge building is nearly complete, so that's all new equipment, all new controls, as well as the plant water building, same thing.
Can you again just tell us what each one of those does?
Sure. The return activated sludge building, basically the organisms that we grow in those aeration tanks, we have to make sure they are the proper age in order to do what we want them to do. If they're too young, they're not efficient feeders. If they're too old, they're too efficient. So we kind of try to keep them in the middle. And how we do that is we take those organisms and we waste them so that we actually reduce their population so that we can, again, control how old they are. And then because the organisms flow from the aeration tanks into the secondary clarifiers and settle down, they basically need oxygen to survive. So we basically have return activated sludge pumps that pull that sludge from the bottom of those clarifiers and throw them back into the head of aeration so that they can, again, respirate and do their job. So it's super important. And then the plant water building, we use the treated water in order to save money by not using potable water. We can use this plant water in order to do things like flushing, dilution, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's super important as well. So if that system goes down, then we don't have sealed water for some pumps, et cetera. And then plant staff is being trained on the operation and maintenance of all new equipment as it comes online by the system vendors. And are learning the new SCADA system to ensure proper operation, monitoring, and troubleshooting. And again, based on talking about the new SCADA system, it's incorporating in more systems. And basically, the old SCADA system just is basically monitoring about 2 systems now, and that's about it. So we're again going to that more advanced system where we can look at it, we can trend, see what's going on, and then make those adjustments. If I may, I mean, that's it as far as a plant upgrade. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Laura?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. While you're doing the upgrades and the new technology, are you doing the training while you're doing this process so it'll be easier to learn all the new systems?
Correct. Yes, we're doing that as they come online because we have to operate them in order to make them work. So again, with this carbon reduction period, there's a lot of systems that are going to come online where we have to basically learn how to work them, and we'll rely on the vendors to do that.
How's that going so far?
Good. So okay. Yeah, I mean, again, if we have questions, the vendors are more than happy to help us out. Obviously, we purchased the equipment, so we would hope so.
Thank you. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Bill?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, can you fill us in on how you're doing schedule-wise relative to the plan and how you're doing financially relative to the plan?
Sure. The plan upgrade is on budget. So as far as change orders, we have 5% contingency, which will cover all the change orders, and we're at 3.175% of that contingency spent, with about 80% of the project completed. As far as schedule, the schedule last time, it was April of 2023, which was the scheduled completion date. That has been pushed to July of 2023. So again, we lost some ground there, but our hope is when we do the carbon reduction period, that's a theoretical 6-month period where we have to reduce the carbon enough in order from the vendor that we could reduce that time. So we're making every effort in order to reduce that, and then that way we can make up some time in doing that.
Are we still qualified for whatever state funds were coming our way, or have we?
We're fully qualified.
Thank you.
Mike.
Through the mayor, just to expand a little bit on Mr. Grass's comments, I'd also like to add the Building Advisory Committee continues to meet weekly, and we meet not only internally with all of our subject matter experts, our building official when we had them, our engineer, Mr. Grasses, Jeff O'Neill, and the rest of the team internally, but also with our value engineers. So we're always looking for ways to improve upon the process, to constantly reevaluate the plans and the progress of the plant. And then lastly, the mayor's made a very strict directive that any change orders that are presented after they go through the Building Advisory Committee, if the Building Advisory Committee recommends them, there's an additional layer of review from the mayor's office and from my office with Mr. Grasses to go through them. Last thing I'd like to add is I would say the level of transparency that Rob operates under is probably a benchmark for other municipalities to follow. Everything we do, we communicate frequently and openly with our state regulators and our partners. They are at the table. They know everything that's happening in the plant. If there's any potential change orders, delays, they're there and part of the team to help us address it.
Thank you. Julie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And we do appreciate these WPCA updates, because as much as I don't understand a majority of what you're doing,
well, that's a trick, yeah.
But I appreciate you explaining it.
Well, I try and make him explain it a little bit to us.
And it's appreciated because we do appreciate the updates. Mr. Campbell took some of my questions, so I'll speak to him about that later. In the interest of being on schedule and on budget, you did mention something about PCB modification with some paint. Was that like a
that was
environmental issue?
No, that was part of the project. So anything that was built in the 70s or earlier was considered PCB contaminated. So again, if we tested for PCBs and we found PCBs, we would actually have to abate everything. And so by assuming everything is PCBs, if we have a wall that needs some work done, we can basically abate that part of the wall and not the whole wall in order to do that work.
So you did anticipate it and are remediating it per wall or with the assumption that everything has PCBs?
Right.
Okay, so that hasn't added to your expenses?
No, that was assumed.
That was assumed, so you kind of budgeted that in?
Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything coming down the road that is concerning you that may be a problem? Have you found anything that could cost us some money or any concerns?
No, not this time. So, I mean, it's, minor changes, as far as change orders, modifications, field modifications happen, but those are usually small money, and that goes to the Building Advisory Committee.
Because you had the whole problem with the delay was because of the excessive water, right, or something like that last year?
Correct, that was part of it. Yeah.
Okay, so we haven't had anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, I know. And so you're at 3.5% of your contingency.
3.175.
3.17, I'm sorry, 3.175. We have a 5% contingency.
Right.
Okay. Do you anticipate that we're having more extreme change orders, or is everything sort of?
No, I don't think so. Again, I think it's the smaller things, as we come on it and realize that something didn't match the original documents, as built from the 70s or 80s, you'll have to do some modifications. But.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you, Mayor, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Brian.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and Mr. Grass, it's good to see you.
See you.
I'm just a little confused. We've started the construction when?
July 2019.
July 7/19. Because you said you were 80% complete.
Correct.
But we've had to push our deadline back to July of 23.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess that makes sense. Is this the other 20% work intensive?
Yes, it is. So, I mean, again, a lot of the major equipment has been purchased already. And so, again, it's more of the labor and to get things done. I mean, it's going to be a very busy year to try to get all these systems up and running.
Okay, and just to reiterate, have you experienced any problems dealing with the normal flow through the plant during construction?
That's a tricky question.
We had a pump go.
Well,
And
that's
then
normal.
we made notifications, but everything was minor. I mean, a lot of it was, just equipment, and none of it the new equipment.
Yeah. But during construction, though, we've successfully dealt with the normal flows.
Yeah.
We haven't had any problems.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
With the flows, yes.
Yeah, great.
No problems.
All right, thank you. And thank you very much again to just echo what Julie said, Ms. Clay said, that it's great that you come and give us these updates. So at least we know, got some kind of clue what's going on when people ask us,
Well,
what's going on at the sewer plant?
Yeah, well, I can't wait to take you guys out and for a tour.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great, yes.
When you answer them, I want you to say that, number 1 and 2 aerations are going north or south to north, and then they're going into 3 and 4 aeration plants, and then they're going into where everything settles and you got to take it and put it back into the filtration.
What did you say at the beginning?
I was close.
Number 1 and 2?
You're going where you shouldn't go. I understand it somewhat, but don't ask me to repeat it. So, okay, thank you.
It's pretty good.
Thank you.
If I may, just a couple updates as far as capital improvements for the WPCA. So as far as the capital improvement plan, we are progressing to prepare bids for sewer repair and rehabilitation. So that will be going out to bid soon. Also, pump station rehabilitation for Talcottville and Brookview pump stations, and also for exit 66 and 67. A design for the construction of sewers at 66 was approved, or down frontage road, and then an easement for exit 67 for a pump station was also approved by the WPCA.
Did you say the 66 was, the plan is done?
They started the design.
They started the design?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think we'll get to the point where we can submit these to the state for some of the federal monies?
Yes.
All right. Because I know the time is essence of those.
Correct.
All right. Thank you. Questions? All right. Thank you, Rob.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Brian, consent?
Mr. Mayor, motion to move the consent agenda as written.
Second by Laura. Are we pulling any? All right. All those in favor? Unanimous. Brian, new business number 1.
Mr. Mayor, the Town Council hereby endorses the applications for the Neighborhood Assistance Act 2022 by the Village for Families and Children and Opportunity Works, Inc.
Is that Jim? Seconded by Jim. Any questions on those? All right. All those in favor? Unanimous. New business number 2.
Mr. Mayor, resolved, the Town Council hereby approves the revised motor vehicle mill rate of 32.46 for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023.
Second.
Seconded by Mary Ann. All right, that mill rate was set by the state, and we have to correct ours to abide by it. There should be a full reimbursement from the state for the difference between our mill rate and the one that was set. And hopefully, if they do that again, they'll reimburse us again. 2 years in a row would be something. Linda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So when do we get that reimbursement? When do we expect the reimbursement?
It's the state.
I'm sorry.
I wish I could give you that answer, but.
Thank you.
So, actually, somebody else had a question over here. Julie.
Excuse me, through you, Mr. Mayor. So you did say that the state will reimburse you 100% the first year, but it's only guaranteed for the first year?
Right.
And then did they give you a rolling schedule for the following year?
The idea they have is to basically roll it back continuing to roll it back. I don't know if that's going to last. It all depends on what the next budget cycle for the state will be, which starts in the springtime. So right now, we're just covering the 1 year.
Right, but then if you go into year 2 and they're rolling it back a certain percentage, that means that our town is going to have to tax our taxpayers more to cover that. Is that correct?
If you go with the history of what the state has done, they usually do these programs. They pay for the first one. Well, that's not even guaranteed. But normally they would pay for the first one, and then it starts to drop off. We're hoping that doesn't happen. We're hoping that the state continues to live up to their obligations, because if not, we would have to pass the car tax on to the homeowners. And that's going to be a burden.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem with the amount of inflation and cost of living and everything. Okay, thank you.
We'll be keeping a close eye on that.
Thank you.
Brian.
So to continue in the same vein, is all the monies we expect from the state staying level, or are they giving with one hand and taking away with another?
So in the past year, or in this past session, they did pass a couple items that are unfunded mandates that probably when you measure it out, it'll be close. It's like every year.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder if Mr. O'Neill knew the continue on more in Mrs. Clay's vein, was if we did not get reimbursement, our 33.39 mill rate would go to where, do you know? Because we have a high percentage of motor vehicles in our town?
No, actually, that's not going to take place this year.
I know it's not, but if they didn't reimburse us,
which would, if they didn't and we knew they weren't going to, they've already budgeted the money, so we know we're going to get it the first year. If they had done this and not, we would have to go into, because we can't change the mill rate now, we would actually have to go into our savings.
Yeah.
Right.
But next year, if they say, well, we're not reimbursing you, keep that mill rate there, we have to adjust our other, as Mrs. Clay mentioned, we have to adjust the other mill rate upwards.
Right.
And because we have a higher percentage than normal of towns with their tax base based on motor vehicles, if it's a very low percentage, it's going to make an insignificant hit. To us, I believe it's going to make a significant hit.
Mm-hmm.
Correct, if I can, through the mayor. So you're absolutely right. There's a couple of things at play here, though. As the mayor mentioned, it's in the budget. It's a grant and aid, so it's not a reimbursement process. It's a grant that they're going to give back to us. So that's in the budget. It's roughly $1.6 million. So that will offset our revenue loss when we approve the budget. There may be some residual funds that are left over that we can use towards next year's. And again, next year's it's not factored in what they're going to do, but they're talking about revising how they tax motor vehicles to a sliding scale and not just putting a motor vehicle cap on. But that's, we can all speculate on that, but there's nothing formal on that one yet. But for the current year, we will not have any revenue loss. We will not have to dip into our savings for any of the tax collections.
Yep, and I understand that, yes. I'm just saying, if, say, next year they keep the same and say, we're not giving you any money, too bad, not enough money around, the $1.6 million will raise our 33.39 to 34.89, approximately?
Not quite that.
Yeah, well, you would think so. Again, it depends on what the overall value is. But yes, there would be an
Which then
increase to the property tax, yes.
Goes back to the property side.
Correct.
So, yeah. Oh, well, thank you very much.
We got to hope it doesn't happen.
Well, yes, we always hope it doesn't happen.
Through you, Mayor. Good evening, Mr. O'Neill. You had said it's an actual grant, $1.6 million we'll be receiving this year. Is this an actual dollar for dollar, or is this $1.6 million and this is what you're getting?
Through the mayor. So the way it is calculated is they're using the 2022 assessment, which is the grand list of 2020. They're looking at the motor vehicle value there and looking at our mill rate at that time.
So we're getting more money.
Minus the cap.
We get more money, then that's why I was wondering if it was dollar for dollar. Okay, thank you. It's always good.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous. Brian, new business number 3.
Mr. Mayor, the Town Council hereby approves the disposal of assets for the Vernon Public Schools as disclosed on the request for disposal of fixed assets form.
Second.
I heard. Second by John. John, Jim. John's got it. All right, any questions on the assets?
Sure, yeah.
Brian?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. O'Neill. We do these a lot all the time, and do we ever have any accounting of what money we get back from disposing of the assets where we sell them, not trash them?
Yes, through the mayor. So we do have a revenue line item that does account for that. In this particular instance, the recommendation is to dispose and donate this, so there will be no revenue associated with it.
Yeah. And the monies just go back into the general fund?
That's correct. Through the mayor, they go back into it's a revenue line item for the general fund, yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Anybody else? All those in favor? Unanimous. New business number 4.
Mr. Mayor, resolved the Town Council, consistent with the Town Charter, Chapter 12, Section 9, determines that it is in the best interest of the town to waive the bid procedure for the purchase of the Aruba Wi-Fi wireless system from Atlantic Computing for an amount not to exceed $60,000, and further authorizes Mayor Daniel A. Champagne or his designee to sign any and all documents for same.
Seconded by Laura. All right. Get ready for the
Good
questions.
evening, everyone.
Get ready for the questions.
Absolutely.
You're up for Julie.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mayor. How are you doing?
Good, thanks.
My expertise is not this IT, but you're replacing the Ubiquity system with this Aruba. And you mentioned in your notes that with the Aruba engineering, they're providing to the BPS professional services, engineering and solutions. So from the Board of Ed side, once you implement this hardware, I'm assuming, is there monthly fees or yearly fees or some kind of contract you have with them in addition to the cost of them?
There is no other contract with them.
So what you're paying for the hardware covers this engineering and?
Correct.
Okay. How are you streamlining the processes and efficiencies, like between doing this with us and the Board of Ed?
Well, currently the Board of Ed, I think I have down there, they have over 260 APs, 7 controllers, master controllers. We're going to integrate into their system, so it actually pushes the configuration down to our system. Otherwise, you do this individually per AP. So we're taking advantage of what we have in place, going across the network and using that configuration.
So by doing this no bid, you're able to use
Board of
configurations
Education.
at the Board of Ed?
Correct. Use their equipment, which will save us about $8,000 in the controller cost alone. Mm-hmm. And it just simplifies the whole process.
So I guess my question is this, is that I understand that you're simplifying it and narrowing down processes and saving the $8,000 approximately. If we went out to bid to a secondary company, do you have an estimate, or did you know that it would be definitely more expensive having 2 separate systems?
I did not go out to bid, and the way I look at this is just the synergies between what we built there as shared services and the network infrastructure. Mm-hmm. So when you're tying it into like the Board of Education, to infrastructure, it's very complex, right? There's going to be scope creep and time learning the new system. You know, even if you have a vendor coming in knowing the Aruba system, to integrate it into a fully established system, there's a big learning curve. Sure. So when I bring in consultants, typically, even when we're short-staffed, it took them 2 to 3 months to spin up. Even though they're an expert in their field, they need to learn the entire network.
Okay. And in this $60,000 quote, were you able to leverage any savings, being that you're saying we already bought from you for the Board of Ed, so here you are coming to the town? Did they give you any discounts, and were you?
I can't answer that directly. I'm going to say I assume they did, but I do not know. I base it on the Board of Education cost, what the current cost is if I just bought it outright, looking at the equipment and the hardware specs. Mm-hmm. Currently, there's a big constraint on any technology, especially access points. I think they're like 3 months behind right now, even receiving equipment. So even moving forward, I want this as a summer project. It won't be a summer project. This will certainly move into September, October, November.
So they
most
did
likely.
They did announce to you that there is going to be delays.
Yes.
Due to getting products.
Yes.
Okay. And you figure it's 3 months?
Yep.
Okay.
We have the same delays with Chromebooks, laptops, everything. Usually it's 3 months, 4 months easily before we receive equipment.
And so if you contract with them and we allow this no bid and you contract with them, regardless of how long it takes to get the equipment, that price stays the same. They're not
correct.
Okay. Okay. And you said there was no monthly or yearly fees. You're buying the product.
Correct.
And then.
Yeah, we have no contract with the Board of Education or Atlantic to service our equipment. It's one-off. Aruba's a solid infrastructure. We do bring them in for the Board of Education every once in a while, but it's very seldom. We also have the same equipment at the senior center, so the town does take advantage of the Aruba system over there. However, that's a little different setup because they are not connected by fiber, so it's a whole different infrastructure.
And just out of curiosity, is there other options of these type of companies, whereas if you didn't have the snow bid, is there several other companies that do this sort of thing?
Yeah, there's other companies that install Aruba equipment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you
You're
very much.
welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Brian.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for coming, Mr. Seegan. Good to see you. So in the explanation, it says they will replace 45 existing Wi-Fi ubiquity access points. But you say they're also going to engineer it. So I'm assuming it's not one for one?
No, it's one for one on the 45. We're also going to buy 5 spare APs with this for replacements in other locations that we're going to be putting in equipment.
Okay. Well, when you say they're going to engineer it,
yes,
I can replace it, but I was expecting them to say this is better here than here than here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They've come through, did a preliminary walkthrough, right, of the buildings. There's, I don't even know, maybe 37 buildings all these APs go in, and the biggest concern is public safety because they're at PD, they're at, EMS, the fire stations, constantly going down. Our current Wi-Fi system is not supported. It needs to be replaced. Big security concerns over this.
Okay, good. So they are doing work to determine best access points, et cetera,
yeah.
et cetera.
They basically, you go around and they have devices that determine the scope of range, strength of signal. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good. And when you say, because it does say town offices, but I think but not. The Board of Ed building itself is on Ubiquity still?
Yep.
Even though the schools are on Aruba?
Yes. Separate network. As a matter of fact, they don't have .org over there. It's a .gov over there. So they also can't use, E-rate money, right? Because it's the Board of Education, schools are schools, Board of Education's Board of Education.
Not really a school. Yeah, I understand that now. Sorry about that. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the time and effort spent on this. Yeah.
Welcome.
Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I think I understand, but let me ask a simple question. Why are we doing this? How will we be better off after it's done?
Well, security, the current system, and there's a mom and pop system, it has no support. The current APs that we purchase are $100. It's not a $800 device. So security is very limited on the current APs that we have. The system's about 8 years old. It's never been refreshed, refurbished. It's been there since I've been here.
Is it working?
It works. Yes, it does work. But it's not supported. So it's in the best interest of the town and to save time on maintenance, spending senior staff going out there to try to fix equipment that is so old, it takes them hours to replace. Aruba Wi-Fi, like you said, we have, let's just say 300 total within the town, senior center, VPS. We might spend 4 hours a year maybe on, 300 access points. Where the 45, we probably spend, 140 hours on 45.
So you think we'll save money?
We will save money.
Okay, thank you.
Linda.
Yes, through the mayor. So, a couple of questions. How long has Atlantic Computing been working with the town and with the board?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know when they first started. Mike, I'm just going to guess 7 years, 8 years maybe, somewhere around there, when they first did Rockville High School.
So I understand they understand our systems, and
They
it
do.
seems cost effective to continue with them. My antenna always go up when I hear no bid. Have you actually spoken with other organizations to see what they could do for us at what cost?
And the reason behind that, again, is the infrastructure that we have in place currently. I don't want them jumping in like the Vernon Public School network, try to understand what was built there, and try to implement the new network that has to be implemented. There's always scope creep in this kind of situation. Like I said, bringing in consultants, it takes them 3 months to spin up, and we're talking consultants that get $200 an hour, right? Within our network, it's grown very large, right? So we have hundreds of switches, fiber all over the place. So it's just the idea of having a vendor knowing the network already, currently what they have in place, and how to integrate it into VPS. It's going to be very beneficial to the town.
And I do understand that. Will there be any interruption of service?
There will be, yes.
Who will be affected, and how will they be affected?
It's a project plan, so it's all implementation. We take one step at a time, one building at a time, one access point at a time. So there's no way you can hit, 30 buildings and replace all the access points at the same time and expect them to work. So we'll be doing just one building at a time. Once it's completed, up and running, everything works good, you move to the next building.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. And just so you know, the current system in this building, I have a lot of difficulties with. So, it is time to upgrade it. And how long does it last? Anybody else? Ann.
Yes, through you, Your Honor. If you're on the same platform with the school system, does that expose the town in any way to any greater security risk?
No.
Being with no.
It's completely separate, even though it's the same platform. So there's a lot of policies, rules built in the background that keep it segmented.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Bill, you had something else? Second time.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, if this is done, will the whole system be one unified system, or are there other pieces that'll have to be done later?
No, this will be a unified system.
Will this be the first time we've really had a unified system?
With Wi-Fi, yes.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All those in favor? Unanimous.
Okay, thank you.
Brian, new business number 5.
Mr. Mayor, the Town Council hereby waives the interest on motor vehicle bill list number 2020-03-0077156 as presented in the memorandum dated May 12, 2022 from Terry Jarney, tax collector for the town of Vernon.
Seconded by Mary Ann. And Terry's here. I don't even recall the last time that something like this happened. And I think that's kind of why we just wanted you to give us a heads up on what happened.
Good evening. Through you, Mayor. This item was presented as an informational item. It's not something that should be approved by the Town Council.
Right, we know that. I just want to know what happened.
There was a clerical error in the assessor's office with a CFC and resulted in a bill being a second CSC, and something that had been reduced and refunded then ended up with a balance due again. They paid it. It was reduced in error. They received their funds back. The bill got added back in, and they had to pay it again. Since they had paid the first one on time, charging them interest further down the road just didn't seem the right thing to do.
All right, so let me get this straight. This is Dave's fault. Dave, if you weren't here, I wouldn't have said that. All right, so this is something that was really odd and just hasn't, I mean,
This
I don't
is-
recall this before.
This is since 2009, I believe, the fourth time this type of informational item has been presented, twice for assessors and twice for collectors. I'll take my share also. So since 2009, to have maybe 4 clerical errors, mistakes happen.
It's not bad.
Yeah, pretty good. And it's already been paid.
Okay.
They paid it.
All right. Any questions? Brian?
Just through you, Mr. Mayor. Just because you're talking your vernacular and we don't understand, what's a CSC or C of
The
C?
CFC certificate, that's an assessor term, but I believe that would be certificate of correction. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
All right, there's no vote on that, so basically it's just a fill-in. Thank you so much. 4 times since 2009, that's not bad. That's a really, you know, I hope she got a good evaluation this year. I don't know, that's pretty good numbers. And with half of them being Dave's fault. All right, what we're going to do next is we have the additional agenda item. Everybody got an email on that. So let's vote to add the additional agenda item. And then we're actually going to start with this one because we do have the town attorney we want to get into, and so we can get him out of there because we're paying him right now. All right, Brian?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add make a motion to add the additional agenda item left at the table designated as executive session number 3.
Second.
Who said that?
I did.
Wow, Julie. Seconded by Julie. All right, all those in favor of adding? Unanimous. All right, let's start with that one, Brian.
Mr. Mayor, the Town Council, pursuant to the authority given in Connecticut General Statutes 1-206B, hereby goes into executive session to discuss the following real estate tax appeal. People's United Bank, N.A., F/K/A, United Bank versus Town of Vernon et al., and invites Michael J. Picaro, Town Administrator, Town Attorney Lou Spadaccini, and Town of Vernon Assessor David Wheeler to attend.
Seconded by Mary Ann. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, guys. We'll be back.
Well, if you like Taco Bell.
I'm going to shut the microphone off.